My name is Linda Karishma. I'm 28 years old. I should be celebrating tonight, surrounded by the people I love, but instead I sit here in the silence of my apartment, my fingers tapping nervously on the cold kitchen counter. I was supposed to have family around me, sharing dinner, catching up. But now it's just me, the soft hum of the refrigerator, and the sharp sting of betrayal. Margot, the condo where I've poured every ounce of my energy, was supposed to be my refuge, my place of peace. The air smells faintly of lavender, a scent I've grown to love, and the city lights glow softly outside, painting the room in hues of amber and gold. But tonight, everything feels hollow. There's a knock on the door, heavy, insistent. I know who it is before I even get up to answer. I've heard the familiar pounding 1,000 times. I've been prepared for this moment ever since I signed the papers, ever since my sister Brooke made it clear how little she thought of me. But nothing could prepare me for what happens next. The door shakes in its frame with each strike, and I can feel my heart pounding in my chest. I step away from the door, taking a steadying breath. The moment I turn the deadbolt, I know everything will change. I can hear them on the other side. My mother, still holding the crowbar, my father's voice low with rage, and Brooke's practiced concern echoing from behind them. The false sympathy that's been her signature for years. When I open the door, the shock on their faces is unmistakable. Mom's hand grips the crowbar like it's a lifeline, but when she sees what's in my hands, she stumbles back, her breath catching in her throat. Dad's face twists in disbelief, a mixture of fury and the realization that he's lost control. The documents I hold are not what they expect. They're not the weapon they thought I would use. Instead, it's a simple manila folder, the kind you use for legal papers. And on top, in bold letters, the words, property deed, stamped with the authority I've earned through years of hard work and sacrifice. Beneath it, bank statements, mortgage receipts, and payment confirmations spread out like cards in a deck, each page carrying my name. My name. "What's this?" Mom's voice cracks, too thick with emotion to be anything but a lie. I hold my head high, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "Proof," I say, my words cutting through the tension, "that this condo, this home you've been calling Brooke's investment property, belongs to me." Their faces freeze, the weight of the words sinking in, and I watch as my parents, the people who raised me to believe I was never enough, begin to unravel. "You can't be serious," Dad sneers, taking a step forward, his eyes filled with anger. "You stole from your own family." I meet his gaze without flinching, my voice calm but firm. "No, Dad. I just stopped being robbed by mine." The words hang in the air, sharp and cold, and for a moment there's nothing but silence. Mom's fingers tighten around the crowbar, her nails white, and I watch as her expression hardens into the look that used to silence me. The look that told me I was nothing more than a disappointment. "You don't speak to us this way, Linda," she says, her voice filled with an authority that used to make me shrink. "We're your parents." I take a slow breath, letting the weight of her words pass through me. "I know exactly who you are," I reply softly, my voice unwavering. "That's why I kept forgiving you long after you stopped deserving it." Behind them, Brooke stands in the shadows, her face pale, her perfect composure cracking at the edges. She finds her voice, but it's strained, as if every word is a battle. "You're making this about money, Linda? Really?" she asks, the words dripping with feigned concern. I look at her, unblinking. "You made it about ownership," I fire back, the sting of her betrayal sharp in my chest. I'm just reclaiming what was always mine. For the first time in years, I feel the power of my own words. The family I've spent my life trying to please, the family who never saw me for anything other than what I could give them, now stands before me, unable to say a word. I set the folder down on the hall table, my fingers brushing the smooth surface, and turn to face my family. "I didn't steal Brooke's condo," I say, my voice even. "You lied about who bought it. I signed every paper you told me to trust you with. You used my savings, my credit score, my name. So please explain to me one more time how this belongs to Brooke." Mom's face drains of color, and I can see the panic rising in her eyes. She looks at Dad for reassurance, but all he can do is stare at me, his mouth moving as if he's searching for the right words. Is it guilt, regret, or just the desperation of losing control over me? Brooke's composure finally cracks completely, her eyes wide with the sudden understanding that she's lost. She opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. She looks at me like I'm the villain, but it's too late. The truth is out. You ungrateful child, Dad finally spits, the words cutting through the silence like a blade. We raised you. We gave you everything. I almost laugh, almost, but I hold it in. You mean everything I paid for, I say, quieter than I expect, but the words land heavier than I thought they would. Like the $3,000 I gave you when I was 22 because you needed to cover the mortgage on your house in Oakwood? Or the double shifts I worked so Brooke could go to Southeast Asia for 6 weeks? I take a slow breath, the weight of it all washing over me. I stopped paying for your mistakes a long time ago. Mom's face hardens into that expression that used to make me shrink, the one that kept me in line as a teenager. You don't speak to us this way, Linda. I take a step back, feeling the door frame beneath my fingers. It's the same door that for years I've opened for them, but not anymore. No, I say softly. I'm done. The silence in the hallway feels suffocating. Even the elevator's mechanical hum seems to hold its breath. I don't flinch when I move past them, close enough to smell Mom's Chanel perfume, the same scent that used to mean safety when I was small. But now it's nothing but a reminder of the control they've always held over me. I set the folder down on the table, step back, and turn the lock, closing the door between us. It clicks into place, and for the first time in 5 years, that sound feels like freedom. The following evening, the air feels heavy with the weight of what I did. The events of last night linger like smoke, but I have no intention of letting it suffocate me. I've made my choice. Now, I just have to live with it. That night, I should have been in my cozy condo, letting the silence wrap around me, savoring the stillness. Instead, I find myself at Romano Steakhouse, the same place we've celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and the endless moments where I've had to bite my tongue, play the dutiful daughter. It's a place I used to love. Now it feels like a cage. Mom's voice slices through the air, as sharp and commanding as ever, dragging me back to the present moment. Linda, she says, her tone carrying a weight of finality that only she can manage. You're basically just house-sitting for Brooke. We're letting you stay there because Brooke needs someone to maintain the property. It's her investment. Her words fall like daggers. Everyone at the table, aunts, uncles, cousins I haven't seen in years, turns their attention to me. The sudden tension is palpable. I freeze, my fork suspended in midair. My throat burns as the laughter around me rings in my ears. They don't know what they're laughing at, not really. They think it's a joke, a harmless family quip. But it's not. Brooke's eyes flick to mine across the table, her smile so wide it could stretch to the moon. The same smug, self-satisfied smile she's always worn, the one that says she's always won, and I've always been the one who quietly watched it happen. I force myself to take a breath, but it feels like the air has been stolen from me. I don't respond. I can't. Every word I want to say is locked behind a wall of years of resentment, years of sacrifice. I try to swallow the lump in my throat, but it doesn't go away. I push the food away from me, my appetite gone. My hands tremble ever so slightly, the realization of how far my family has pushed me finally hitting me like a brick wall. This isn't love. This isn't family. This is control. And I'm done. I wait until the meal is almost over before excusing myself to the bathroom. There's no escape from the reality of the situation. There's no comfort to be found in the noise of their laughter, in the weight of their expectations. When I step out of the bathroom, I take one last look at the table. I don't even recognize myself anymore. My hands are shaking as I fumble for my phone, glancing at the time. 11:47 p.m. I don't think twice before I make the call. The decision is made. I call a locksmith the moment I get home, and I stay awake until the work is done. The locks are changed. The power shift begins. The next morning, everything is different. I've made my stand, but I know the storm is coming. It's only a matter of time before they show up at my door, demanding what they believe is theirs. I'm ready for them. When the doorbell rings, it's almost like I'm hearing it from a distant place, like it's not even real. My fingers tighten around the door handle, but there's no hesitation now. I'm not the same person who opened that door to them last time. I'm not the same person who let their cruelty slide for years. The door swings open, and there they are, Mom, Dad, and Brooke. Their expressions are a mix of confusion, rage, and the deep, twisted sense of entitlement they've always carried. Linda, Dad says, his voice thick with anger, we need to talk. I'm listening, I reply, my tone firm, steady, no longer the meek daughter who's afraid to stand her ground. Brooke is the first to speak, her voice shaking with barely contained fury. What did you do? You changed the locks. You. I cut her off, my eyes meeting hers. It was never your property, Brooke. You've been playing me for years. I'm done. Brooke, stop, Mom warns, but I can see the cracks forming in her perfect facade. Stop? I echo, laughing bitterly. I'm not the one who needs to stop. You all used me, lied to me. For years, you've made me feel like I was the problem, but now I see the truth. Dad's jaw clenches. You don't know what you're doing. You're ruining this family. Then maybe it's time this family was ruined, I say softly, because it's never been about family. It's always been about control. Brooke steps forward, her face twisted with frustration. You're making a huge mistake, Linda. This is going to make you look bad. Everyone will turn on you. I don't care anymore, I reply, the words feeling like a weight I've been carrying for too long. I'm done letting you control me. I'm done being your safety net. I step back, my hand hovering over the door. I'm not going to apologize for standing up for myself. I've worked for everything I have, every single penny. The silence in the hallway feels deafening. Even Brooke, who has always known how to turn the conversation in her favor, is quiet now. With a final glance at my family, I pull the door closed. It clicks shut with a finality that echoes through my chest. And for the first time, I feel like I'm not just locking them out. I'm locking away the last vestiges of the person they wanted me to be. The silence of my condo wraps around me like a blanket. The sound of the lock turning doesn't just signal the end of a conversation. It's the sound of freedom. The morning after I locked my family out, everything feels quieter than usual. The city outside is bustling, but inside my condo, the silence is both unsettling and comforting. I sip my coffee, my fingers brushing against the cold ceramic, lost in thought. It's still early, but I already know what's coming. The storm isn't over. They won't just walk away, not this time. The doorbell rings again around 9 a.m. I'm not surprised to see it's them. Mom's face is pale when I open the door, and Dad stands behind her, his jaw clenched, eyes flashing with that familiar anger. And then there's Brooke, lingering at the back, her gaze fixed on me, like I'm some kind of enemy. It's not the reunion I imagined for myself, but it's the one I've been waiting for. I want you to hand over the property documents, Dad says without preamble, his voice thick with authority. Now. I step back, allowing them inside, but I keep the door halfway shut, my body blocking the full entry. It's my way of reclaiming the space, of asserting control over something they can no longer take from me. I'm not giving you anything, I say firmly, meeting his gaze without flinching. Mom steps forward, her voice a mix of desperation and indignation. Linda, you can't just... I can, I interrupt, and I have. Brooke rolls her eyes, the action so typical it almost makes me laugh. You really think this is yours, don't you? That condo, the money, everything. But it's all just a game to you, isn't it? A way to show us up. No, I reply quietly, my tone calm but unwavering. It's mine because I earned it, and no one else gets to decide that for me anymore. I move toward the table where the property documents sit, spread out in a neat pile, the papers heavier now than they've ever been. I pick them up slowly, deliberately, and hold them in front of my family. I can see the disbelief in their eyes, the way they look at the papers like they're a foreign language they can't quite comprehend. These are mine, I say again, my voice growing steady with each word. Every signature, every payment, every sacrifice I made. It's all mine. Mom's hand trembles slightly as she reaches for the papers, but she stops herself before touching them. Her expression falters, the harsh veneer of control cracking for just a moment. You've always been so quiet, Linda. So good, so generous, she says, her voice shaking. But you don't understand. This is what family does. We help each other. I shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. Helping each other isn't about using someone else until there's nothing left to take. You used me. You used my money, my credit, my trust. Dad steps forward, his hands clenched into fists. This isn't just about money. It's about family. It's about what we've all done for you. No, I reply, my voice calm but full of weight. This is about control. You've used me, manipulated me, and then acted like I should just be grateful. Well, I'm not grateful anymore. I'm done being your backup plan. Brooke, who has been standing in the back, steps forward, her face flushed with a mix of anger and frustration. You think you're some hero now? She sneers. This makes you look petty. You've made us all look bad. I meet her gaze squarely, my voice cold. I'm not trying to make anyone look bad. I'm just making sure you all know the truth. There's a tense silence in the room, one thick with the unsaid. My heart beats in my chest, a steady rhythm that grounds me as the storm rages around me. They want to break me, to force me into submission. But I'm not the same person I was when I let them walk all over me. This time I won't back down. Brooke, you've lied about everything, I say, my voice firm. And you've used every last piece of me to build your empire, but you didn't build this. I did. Her face twists in rage, but she doesn't say anything. Her silence is more telling than any words she could have spoken. She knows. They all do. Dad turns away, running a hand through his hair. I can't believe this. You were supposed to be different, Linda. You were supposed to be the one who understood the sacrifices we made for you. You didn't make sacrifices for me, I reply softly. You made sacrifices for yourselves. You wanted my success without ever giving me the space to have it on my own terms. I set the folder of documents down in front of them, letting them see the finality of what I've done. It's all there, in black and white. There's no escaping it now. The property is mine. I earned it. I paid for it with everything I had, and I won't let them take it from me. You don't get to decide anymore, I say, my voice cutting through the thick air like a blade. I've spent years giving everything I had to this family, and now I'm taking back what's mine. Mom opens her mouth to speak again, but I stop her with a look. The words she wants to say are empty. They've always been empty. They've always been designed to keep me in line, to make me feel like I owed them something. But I don't owe them anything, not anymore. I walk to the door, my hand on the handle. I'm done, Mom. I'm done, Dad. I'm done, Brooke. You all pushed me too far. I'm no longer the daughter who hides in the background, quietly doing what's expected of her. I'm not playing that role anymore. I open the door, stepping aside to let them leave. There's no more room for them in my life, not in the way they've been, not anymore. The door clicks shut behind them, and I lean against it for a moment, breathing in the silence. For the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. I'm free. The silence in my condo is almost too loud, but in a way, it's exactly what I need. The door is closed, and with it, so many years of pressure, of expectations, and of being the person everyone used to control. For the first time, it feels like my space, both the physical condo and the emotional room I've created for myself, actually belong to me. I walk into the kitchen, pulling a bottle of wine from the rack, something simple, a $10 Pinot Grigio from Target. I pour myself a glass, savoring the momentary quiet. The weight in my chest feels lighter now. The battle for ownership of my life, of my condo, was always bigger than just property. It was about finally seeing my own worth, finally standing up for what I've worked so hard for. The phone rings, shattering the stillness. My heart skips in my chest as I check the caller ID. It's Mom. I let it ring, waiting until the voicemail kicks in. The sound of her voice pierces the air when it does. Linda, honey, we didn't mean to upset you. You've always been so sensitive. Please come by tomorrow so we can talk before this gets out of hand. I feel the anger rising again, but I force myself to stay calm. Her voice, high-pitched and fragile, used to make me want to rush to her side, to make everything okay. But I'm not that person anymore. Not for her, not for any of them. The next message comes through, colder this time. Dad's voice is like polished steel. It is smooth and authoritative. But there's a tremor in it I don't think he means to reveal. Return those property documents before we involve attorneys. This is your final warning. I shake my head, holding the phone in my hand. Final warning. They've always been about power, about control. They think they can force me into submission, but I'm done being their pawn. The third message is from Brooke. She sounds distant, detached, but there's a venom in her words. You think this makes you the hero of your own little story? You're going to regret making us look bad. I chuckle softly to myself. If she only knew how much I've already regretted. I've regretted being the person who always gave, always stepped aside, always kept quiet. I've regretted thinking that maybe, just maybe, they'd change. But I don't regret what I did, not one bit. I pour myself another glass of wine, this time filling the glass to the rim. I sit down on the couch, turning my phone face down on the coffee table. There's something peaceful in the stillness, something different. I'm not waiting for anyone anymore. No more calls, no more apologies that come too late. I pull my knees up to my chest, letting the weight of everything wash over me, finally allowing myself to feel. The pressure I've carried for years is gone, and with it, the fear. I feel the space around me, my own space, and it feels like the first time in my life that I've really been here, in this moment, for myself. There's a knock at the door. It's soft, almost tentative. My heart skips in my chest as I stand, my feet quiet on the hardwood floor. I don't know why I'm surprised to see who's standing on the other side when I open it. Cameron, my neighbor. He's holding a pizza box in one hand, a look of concern on his face as he glances up at me. "Hey," he says, his voice steady, but I can see the hint of worry in his eyes. "I heard some intense voices this morning. Just wanted to check in." I manage a small smile. "Family drama," I say, shrugging slightly. "But I'm good now. Thanks for checking on me." He studies me for a moment, like he's not quite sure whether to push for more or let it go. But then his face softens, and he holds out the pizza box. "Family drama usually means you haven't eaten. Take a slice. Buffalo chicken, extra ranch." I take the box, laughing softly. "Thanks, Cameron." He leans against the doorframe, looking at me with that quiet kind of understanding. The kind that doesn't ask for explanations. "You don't have to do this alone, you know," he says softly. "Whatever happened, whatever's going on, you don't have to carry it all by yourself." Something in my chest loosens at his words, like a knot I didn't even know was there. "I don't plan on it," I reply, my voice quieter than I expect. He gives a slight nod, his gaze never leaving mine. "Good," he says simply, "because people who really love you, they don't keep score." I look down at the pizza, the warmth of the box seeping into my fingers. The weight of his words stays with me, echoing in my mind as I close the door behind him. I sit down on the couch again, the slice of pizza sitting on the table in front of me. It's just one slice, but it feels like more than that. The night stretches on, the quiet wrapping itself around me like a blanket, and for the first time in years I feel safe, not because anyone's protecting me, but because I'm protecting myself. I'm keeping my peace, my boundaries. I'm not letting anyone back in who doesn't respect that. The fallout from yesterday's confrontation is faster than I expect. Word spreads quickly in small circles, especially when it involves family. The texts start coming in the moment I wake up, some from people I haven't spoken to in years, others from family members who claim to be concerned. I don't read them. I don't respond. I can feel the weight of their judgment, but I won't let it break me. This is what I've been avoiding my whole life, standing up for myself, not backing down when they try to manipulate me into feeling guilty. My phone rings incessantly. Mom, Dad, Brooke. Their numbers flashing on the screen, but I mute it and put the phone back on the counter. The world feels strangely quiet without the constant noise of their demands. I've stopped playing their game, and it feels like I can finally breathe. But then there's the ripple effect. I step outside into the brisk morning air, the coolness of it a stark contrast to the heat of the emotions swirling inside me. I need space. I need time to process everything, to let the reality of it sink in. I'm walking down the street when I see it. A post from Brooke, vague as always, but telling enough. "Family snakes bite the deepest," it reads, with a sunset photo in the background. "When blood betrays blood." The comments flood in. Heart emojis. "Stay strong, Queen. We're with you." I read every single one, and with each word I feel the sting. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. Not anymore. Each comment is like a tiny paper cut, but I don't bleed anymore. I stop at a cafe to grab a coffee and sit by the window, watching the world go by, trying to ground myself. That's when I get a call from Aunt Cheryl. "Sweetheart, what's going on?" she asks, her voice concerned. "Everyone's saying you cheated Brooke out of her property. Is that true?" I take a deep breath, the calmness of the moment grounding me. "Aunt Cheryl," I say softly, "you know that condo on Wazee Street? I bought it. Every cent from my paycheck. I have the mortgage statements to prove it." She pauses and I can hear her breathing through the line. She's processing it, trying to make sense of what she's heard. "But they're saying you're unstable," she continues. "That you're making things up because you're jealous." I smile to myself, shaking my head. That's gaslighting, Aunt Cheryl. That's what it sounds like when they've got nothing left to hold on to but their lies. She doesn't respond immediately, and I can tell she's struggling with her loyalty to my family and the truth she's hearing from me. You're sure about this, sweetheart? I'm sure, I reply. I've got the paperwork, the receipts, and everything else that proves I've worked for every single thing in that condo, and I'm done being their backup plan. She sighs, her voice softer now. I just want you to be okay. I am, I say firmly, meaning it with every fiber of my being. I'm better than I've been in years. I hang up and take a long sip of my coffee. The truth is, I feel better, more myself. There's a strange, freeing calm in knowing that no matter how they try to twist the story, the facts are on my side. But that doesn't stop the inevitable. The texts and calls from my parents and Brooke keep coming. They're relentless, but I'm relentless too. I don't answer. I don't even read the messages anymore. I'm done being caught in their web. Later that afternoon, as I sit at my desk trying to focus on the small tasks that make up my daily life, I get a text from Cameron. It's simple, but it means everything. Good, because people like that only stop when truth gets louder than lies. I feel something in my chest loosen at his words, like I've been holding my breath all day and can finally exhale. The support I'm getting from him is quiet, but it's solid. He doesn't try to fix me. He doesn't offer empty sympathy. He just listens, just is there. I look down at the folder on my desk, the one with all the documents, proof that I own this place, that I've earned this, that no one can take it from me. I've spent so long thinking I had to earn everyone's approval, that their view of me mattered more than my own. But now, the truth is all that matters. And the truth is I'm stronger than I've ever been. The day wears on, and I get a text from Dad. It's simple, almost too simple. Family meeting. Sunday, 2:23 p.m. Mandatory. I stare at it for a long time, the words flickering on the screen like they're waiting for me to make the next move. But I don't reply. I don't have to. I've been their safety net long enough. Now it's time for them to face the reality of their own actions. Sunday arrives gray and cold, the kind of morning where the world feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The mountains are hidden behind a thick wall of clouds, and the air feels heavy. I can't tell if it's the weather or the weight of the family meeting hanging over me. I haven't seen my parents' house in Oakwood in months. As I drive down the familiar streets, it feels almost surreal, like stepping into a different life. The brick facade that used to seem so imposing now just looks ordinary, worn. It's as if the house itself has aged along with me. I pull up to the driveway, the sound of the gravel crunching beneath my tires oddly comforting. When I get out, I stand for a moment, staring at the front door. It's the same door I've walked through countless times, the same place where they made me feel small, where their expectations suffocated me. I take a deep breath and walk up to the door, my hand resting on the cold brass handle. There's no turning back now. When Mom opens the door, her smile is forced, her eyes hollow. She looks like she hasn't slept in days, like she's been rehearsing this moment over and over, trying to figure out what to say. But whatever words she had prepared for me aren't enough. They're never enough. Let's keep this civil, shall we? She says, stepping aside to let me in. I don't respond. I don't have to. The house feels smaller now, quieter. The dining room table is set like it's waiting for battle, the chairs arranged in a way that makes it feel more like a tribunal than a family gathering. Dad stands by the window, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. He doesn't even look at me when I walk in. And then there's Brooke, sitting at the far end of the table, her arms crossed, her eyes narrowed. She's wearing that boss babe blazer, the one she thinks makes her look in control. But I can see the cracks in her facade. The quiet desperation that's been building in her is finally breaking through. I set my bag down on the empty chair beside her. The tension is thick enough to slice with a knife, but I keep my gaze steady, unwavering. Well, I'm glad you could make it, Dad finally says, his voice strained. He turns to face me, but there's something different in his eyes. It's not anger anymore. It's something else, something that feels like resignation. I don't speak right away. Instead, I look at each of them, taking in the silence. There's nothing left to say that hasn't already been said. No more apologies, no more justifications for their actions. I've heard it all before. Brooke leans forward, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. We can settle this quietly, Linda, she says, her eyes locking with mine. All you have to do is sign over the deed. We'll pretend this little episode never happened. You can even stay there and rent from me. Family discount. I almost laugh, the audacity. I reach into my bag, pulling out the binder that contains everything. Every single document, every signed piece of paper that proves this condo is mine. I set it down in the center of the table with a soft thud. You're right, I say calmly, flipping open the first page. Let's settle this. Their faces change. I watch Dad's expression shift from cold calculation to disbelief. He grabs the binder, flipping through the pages like he's searching for some loophole, some way to undo everything that's happened. This can't be right, he mutters, his voice strained. I meet his gaze, my voice steady. It's legal. Brooke stands up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Her face is flushed with frustration. You think some papers make you better than us? She spits, her voice rising. You think you've won? I stare at her, unblinking. No, I'm just protected. She slams her hand on the table, but I don't flinch. You've always been jealous of me, she accuses, her words sharper than I ever expected. Jealous of what exactly? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The debt? The failed business ventures? The Instagram facade? Her jaw tightens, and I can see her temper fraying at the edges. You've ruined everything, she says, her voice low, venomous. No, I reply, my voice cutting through the tension. I'm just done trying to fix your messes. The room is silent for a moment, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the background. Mom looks between me and Brooke, her expression a mix of guilt and fury. She opens her mouth to speak, but I stop her with a look. I didn't turn on anyone, I say quietly, my words holding a finality that they can't argue with. I just stopped being your safety net. Mom's face twists with frustration, her hands wringing together like she doesn't know what to do with herself. Linda, please, she says, her voice breaking slightly. We've sacrificed so much for you. You don't understand how hard this has been for all of us. No, I say, my voice hardening. You've sacrificed for yourselves. You used me, and you took everything I had until there was nothing left to give. The silence that follows is suffocating. But I don't care. This is it. The final break. The end of their control over me. I gather the binder, standing up slowly, and with a calmness I didn't know I had, I turn toward the door. I'm done surviving, I say softly, my voice almost a whisper, and I'm done apologizing for it. I leave without looking back. The sound of the door clicking shut behind me feels like freedom. For the first time in my life, the road ahead belongs to me. The next few days pass in a blur. The fallout from my decision is swift. Brooke's startup fails. Her loan application is flagged. When the bank verifies that the condo she's been claiming as an asset doesn't belong to her. My family, in their own way, tries to bury the truth beneath layers of guilt and blame. But it doesn't matter, not to me. I've learned something in all of this. Peace isn't a reward you get for being good enough. It's a decision. It's a boundary you set, a line you draw in the sand and say, this is where I stop letting you hurt me. And when I finally walk into the Small Business Alliance conference, a keynote speaker, my hands trembling not from fear, but disbelief, I understand that I've already won. Not just against my family, but against everything they ever tried to make me believe about myself. I've built this life on my own, and I'm proud of it.